What's up, fellow Crash Bandicoot fans? It's Austin CB here, and welcome back to another episode of Recent Pickups. It has been a while. I know it's been a little bit since my last upload, and I do apologize for the gap. I've just been extremely busy with working a full-time job and, just being occupied with other projects. I haven't had a whole lot of time to sit down and record anything for you guys, so I'm hoping to get back to making content. I do have some ideas planned. It's just a matter of when I can sit down and record all that stuff. So for now, we're going to do another episode of Recent Pickups. It has been about 8 months since the first episode, so while content on my channel has slowed down, my collecting has not. So I have picked up quite a few things since then. However, I am going to exclude some of those pickups just because I feel they could benefit from their own separate videos. So keep an eye out for those videos in the future. But yeah, I have a little bit more to showcase this time around. Again, kind of like with the first episode, a lot of it is heavily Japanese centered. So it's just, I have a habit of picking up a lot of Japanese stuff at once. A lot of times it's just cheaper and I can get it all shipped together, which is nice. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so the first couple things I have to showcase are actually keychains, and both of these come from very different eras of the franchise. So the first one I have here, this is a European Crash Bandicoot quarter machine figure. And this is actually a very hard to find keychain. This is actually part of a set, and the set consists of Crash, Coco, Cortex, Komodomo, and Tiny. Unfortunately, I am missing the rest, but I was able to get a hold of Crash. Now, for those of you who don't know, this set was actually available in Europe exclusively, and was part of Gashapon or quarter machines, whatever you want to call them. So you could actually find these in those machines. However, since then, they've just become extremely rare and hard to find. They came out in the early 2000s. So if you are looking for this set, good luck. Now, I did have an opportunity to get the full set a few years back from an eBay auction, but I did end up losing the auction, and I haven't seen them since. So yeah, the next keychain I have here is from the Revival era Insane Trilogy, and this is a rubber keychain, and this one here is dated back to 2017, of course. Now this keychain, surprisingly pretty rare. This is the first one I've seen go up for sale since I've started collecting. Obviously, I know people that have this keychain, but it took me a while to actually acquire this one. So yeah, just to compare these for fun, this is what both of the keychains look like side by side. Obviously, this one is much smaller, but I do really like them, especially this one. I think this one turned out pretty good. Yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to the next item. Check out this big boy. So this here is the play-by-play Dingodile plush, obviously centered around his Crash 4 design. So this plush was revealed a couple years back on the play-by-play website, and it actually didn't release until pretty recently, so I was able to get a hold of this plush. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any of the other modern plushes, but I do plan on getting them at some point. But when I saw Dingodile, I just knew I had to get this plush, so I think he turned out pretty good. I've seen some mixed reception with the modern Crash play-by-play plushies in general, but this one here I think turned out really, really nice. I do especially like how they did the teeth. Now, it's just thin pieces of felt, but just overall, I think he turned out pretty good. Obviously, no flamethrower, no vacuum, no nothing like that. Just a good old-fashioned plump Dingodile plush, and yeah, really like him. So last episode, I showcased a couple of Namco figure charms that I picked up. Since then, I have picked up 2 more, so now I'm only missing 1 from that set. So the 2 that I picked up were the Crash Team Racing, Crash in his cart keychains, or charms, and this is the bead variant. And then I also picked up the strap variant. So I believe the only one that I'm actually missing is the bead variant of the high jump Crash. I do have the others. And then, of course, I'm missing the Namco Coco keychain from the regular set, so still looking for those. The next item I have here is another Crash Bandicoot figure pin. I did showcase one of these in my last pickup video. However, the pen is different, so I do collect the variants. Regardless if the figure is the same, the pen part is what is different. So I do have the blue version of this. I was just missing the orange variant, so yeah, pretty nice to add that into the collection. It seems like I'm always finding Japanese Crash stationery. Just when you think you're done with it, something else pops up. The next item I have here is a plush. So this is from the June Planning Wave, the Crash Bandicoot collection line, and this is a keychain plush. And this was part of a 3-piece plush set. I already have the other 2 plushes. This was the last one I needed, so I'm really happy I was able to complete the set finally. And this is the high jump Crash plush. And overall, I really do like these little plushes. They're nice, minimalistic, and simple. And yeah, it's in pretty good condition overall. Just one lace is a little dirtied up, but not too big of a deal. And the last little trinket I have is a set of stickers for Crash Bandicoot Advance, aka Crash Bandicoot The Huge Adventure, or Crash Bandicoot XS if you're in Europe. And yeah, this was a sticker sheet I had been looking for, but I just kept missing out on them. This looks like a set that you can actually apply to your Game Boy Advance, which is pretty cool, but obviously this is collectible, so I'm not going to use them. But yeah, really glad I was able to track that down. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on. So the next set of items I'm going to showcase here are actually pretty recent, but for those of you who have been living under a rock for the last few months, Crash Bandicoot actually made a comeback within the fast food chain. So McDonald's ended up doing a promotion with Crash Team Rumble, so that means we got some new toys, if you want to call them toys, for the Happy Meals. So I know a lot of people were pretty divisive on these toys. Some people liked them, a lot of people didn't like them. I fall in the category between. I mean, I think they're fine. I mean, I wasn't really expecting too much, honestly, but I think they're okay for what they are. So I'll go ahead and just run through everything really fast here. So starting off with the first set, we have the collector cards. And I think this is probably my favorite from the set just because they're all character-themed cards. The second one is the Crash Memory Card Game. And then the third one is Spyro's Memory Card Game. And then the fourth thing here is actually a plush. It's a plush for Crash and Dingo Dial. And then next up, we have a Coco and Spyro plush. And probably my second favorite from the set is the Stack and Crash challenge, just because this one comes with cutouts of various characters. And then next up, I have the Speed Puzzle challenge. And then the last one from the set is Tawna's Tic-Tac-Toe game. So that's all 8 of the toys. Yeah, I didn't go through all of them individually just because it would take a little bit of time, and most people know what they look like anyway, so I think we're good there. Bonus I have here, I did end up getting the box as well. Of course, you gotta have the box. So this is what it looks like. And I actually do really like the box. I think that turned out pretty well. And I also did get an extra one, just so I have one that's flat. Unfortunately, I did not get any of the posters or displays. I actually ordered the toys before they were available at my local McDonald's, and the boxes were actually Christmas gifts, surprisingly. So I actually didn't get a chance to go to my actual McDonald's to see if they had any of the displays. So unfortunately, I missed out there, but that's on me for not checking. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. So when it comes down to collecting magazines or printed media, I tend to not go for it as much, just because I tend to prioritize merch and games over like printed media. But I did end up picking up my first Japanese Crash magazine. This one here is based around the Pocket Station design, and this is actually a pretty rare magazine to find, so I'm glad it ended up being my first Japanese Crash magazine. And basically it just goes over the Pocket Station and its features and whatnot. There is a page in here that showcases the Crash Bandicoot Pocket Station. So these are the pages in the book. And yeah, it just kind of shows you some stuff from the game and whatnot. Got a nice little render of Fake Crash there. And yeah, really glad I was able to pick that up. Hopefully I can find some more Japanese Crash magazines in the future. They don't pop up too often, so yeah, they're pretty rare from what I've seen. The next item I have here, another pretty obscure Japanese piece. This, I believe, is a catalog. Obviously I picked it up because it features Crash on the cover, well, plushes of Crash. And I think this was released shortly after or before Crash Warped, because there are a couple of Crash 3 pages featured. However, if I go to the front page, this is a really nice picture here. You got some staff photography here with the mascot suit, and I would frame it, but that would involve me having to basically take the book apart, which is something I don't want to do. And here's the Crash page. So we have some stuff for Crash Warped, some neat renders and screenshots and whatnot. So yeah, really glad I was able to pick these up. Of course, my first Japanese Crash magazine and an obscure catalog to go with it. Can't complain there. So moving on here, I did end up completing the rest of the Head Start figure set. Last episode of Recent Pickups, I showcased the Retro Crash, and at that time I only had that one and the Standard Crash. However, since then I have picked up the rest. As of this video, they still aren't available in the States yet, so I did have to import these, unfortunately, which means they did cost a little bit more, but I am still hoping to see them eventually make their way to the States. So anyways, the first figure I have is Biker Crash. Obviously my favorite from the set. I do really like this figure. And of course they are sealed. I do plan on getting these figures loose eventually, but for now I'm getting them sealed first. Next up we have Coco. And then last but not least we have Dr. Cortex. Now this one's a little wonky because he's looking down. However, if you look at the picture on the back, he's looking more like up at an angle. So I don't know if that's just a printing error, if that's intentional, but yeah, so that's the whole set complete. I'm glad I completed that set. It took me long enough to do it, but again, hoping to see them come to the States. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Oh yeah, now we're talking. This is vintage. So this is a promotional Crash Bandicoot 2 leather backpack, and this is now one of the rarest Crash items that I own. So only 2 of these have ever sold online. That just shows you how obscure and rare this thing truly is. Now, over the past 6 months, I was fortunate enough to actually obtain this piece. Now, the backpack that I do own is a little used, so there's some flaws here and there, but overall I am super ecstatic to have this in my collection. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. So starting off with the front here, we have the Crash 2 logo, and it is embroidered, so it does pop up a little bit. And then of course the top is a flap, so you have a little clip here, and I actually have the backpack stuffed with paper to keep it standing, so it doesn't fall over. The clip, unfortunately the paint has worn off, but the clip would just, you push this piece in and you can unstrap it. You have some zippers, pouches in the front for storage. If we flip over to the side, we have another pouch, and this time we have Crash on the side. And then on the other side, I'm not sure what this is. I believe it might be measurements, but if anybody knows, feel free to correct me in the comments below, but that is present. And of course on the back you have the straps. Now unfortunately one of the straps is broken, but I don't plan on taking this out anywhere, just because I don't want to risk getting it damaged. But overall, such an awesome piece. I am so happy I was able to find this. And one interesting thing that I want to point out about this item in particular, it has that vintage leather smell to it. Now, I've kept this thing pretty clean, but every time I take this thing out of my display, the smell just boom right in your face. So yeah, this goes very well with the Crash 3 leather jacket. I have paired them up. Amazing. So moving on to my last couple of items here, of course, again being Japanese related items, I have a Crash Bandicoot Carnival booklet here, and there's a reason why I wanted this booklet, and of course it's got some neat Crash renders and stuff in it. But if we actually go to the last page, you'll see we have a little merchandise catalog, and it features a bunch of Japanese Crash merchandise at the time. You've got plushes, you've got the figures, you've got some pretty obscure stuff as well, like the pencil sharpener, the candy tubes, the camera keychains and whatnot, and you also have some of the clothing featured as well, and some stationery, and then the CTR plush as well. So this was a booklet that I had been looking for a long time. Now, there are a couple of images online of these two pages. However, they weren't the clearest images. However, at the time, I wasn't sure how big the actual book was, and now that I have it in hand, it's actually a very small book. Now, I actually got this alongside the final item I'm going to showcase today, and so I don't know how many of you are actually familiar with the Koro Koro mangas. Obviously, Crash had 2 volumes released. There were more mangas included in the monthly Koro Koro magazines, and just so happens I managed to find some of them. So I have had requests to scan these. Scans will be coming at some point in the future. I just don't have a scanner at the moment. But it is on my to-do list for sure. I know a lot of people are wanting to see scans of these pages so they can translate them and obviously just be able to read them in general. I'm pretty sure these are just assorted mangas. I've kept it in the same order that it arrived in, so I'm assuming everything is together with its respective chapter, title, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I really do like these. I haven't been through everything entirely just because I haven't had a whole lot of time to go through everything. But yeah, like, look at that. That's an awesome cover. So yeah, you could find these in Koro Koro magazines at the time, and they've become pretty hard to find. I do have the Dansu to Jump mangas, but I didn't have anything past that. So yeah, that's the mangas. And with that being concluded, that wraps up this episode of Recent Pickups. I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts down below, and feel free to subscribe for more future content. I've been It's Austin CB, and thank you so much for watching.